Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 for the News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan.
And I am Piruni Karunaratna. Here are tonight's headlines. Capital Maharaja Group holds annual convention. Former South African President Thabo Mbeki attends as chief guest. CEO of Islon Lanka Private Limited Nalin Jayawardena named Executive of the Year. MTV Channel Private Limited awarded Best Company of the Year. Former chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines Nishantha Wickramasinghe arrested over corruption charges. Case against Namal Rajapaka regarding Krish deal postponed. Former Ceylon Fisheries Corporation chairman arrested by bribery commission. Granted bail. Salt prices decline.
On to those stories in detail. The Capital Maharaja Group hosted its prestigious annual convention this evening, where excellence in leadership and innovation was celebrated. Nalin Jayawardena, Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Islon Lanka Group, was honoured with the coveted Executive of the Year title, recognizing his outstanding contributions and visionary leadership within the organisation.
The 45th annual convention of the Capital Maharaja Group commenced this afternoon at Stein Studios in Ratmalana. The chief guest at the ceremony was Thabo Mbeki, the second democratically elected president of South Africa and a prominent political leader in the African region. The event was attended by Capital Maharaja Group Chairman Sashi Rajamahendran, along with senior management, executives and a distinguished gathering of special invitees. This grand annual celebration is held to recognize and appreciate the exceptional contributions of the group's executive leadership. The Capital Maharaja Group, through its wide network of companies across various sectors, continues to serve the people of Sri Lanka with a deep sense of purpose and responsibility.
Through war, political instability and crisis, we stood tall, grounded by our motto, the courage to be different. It's what made us partner with global giants. It's what drove us to innovate across industries, and it's what drives us still. We don't just do business, we show up and we step in. This year, we brought together ministers, diplomats and thinkers for the Bali process, Innovation Island Summits. We hosted the UN-backed Human Rights Day and worked with WIPO and the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union. Why CSR? That's just a label. Corporates should be responsible. We don't do it out of obligation, but out of belief in doing what's right and being part of something larger than ourselves. Be a part of something bigger. President Mbeki's presence here reflects that very spirit. He's a builder of bridges, a man who stood for dignity, for equity, and for action rooted in truth. And today, as Sri Lanka attempts to rebuild on new terms, his example reminds us legacies aren't built in comfort. They're forged in courage. Let us step forward with that courage and let us honor the past, but run towards the future. Let us not just turn 100. Let us become a group that defines what the next 100 can be. As President Mbeki once said, gloom and despondency have never defeated adversity. Trying times need courage and resilience. And that struggle is not someone else's job, but it is one we can all choose to be a part of.
5 executives from companies under the Capital Maharaja Group were once again honoured with special recognition. The executives honoured with special recognition include Chamira Dodangoda of Kevilton Electrical Products Private Limited, Dharmashri Ekanayaka of Sirasa TV, HWSS Sanjeeva of Islon Lanka Private Limited, Perumal Selvakumar of AF Jones, Vasana Mallika Heva of Group IT.
From humble beginnings, the group has created brands that now stand as icons across Sri Lanka's corporate skyline. For me, two things stand out as important in leadership. That is letting go and giving back. As some eagles do, this group also time and again has reinvented itself. It built businesses, grew them aggressively by staying course and let go of the businesses which were not of strategic fit. Giving back requires a totally different mindset. Digitization, automation, artificial intelligence, they are all rapidly changing the way we work. In a technology-driven world, anything that cannot be digitized or automated is extremely valuable. Therefore, human-only traits such as creativity, intuition, emotions, all these are going to be even more important because machines are very good at simulating, not at being. This leaves us with only one space to innovate in, that is us, we, the self.
This year, among the institutions within the Capital Maharaja Group, the esteemed RR Award for Best Company of the Year was proudly presented to MTV Channel Private Limited.
Congratulations, MTV Channel Private Limited.
From that interaction and what has happened so far today, it seems to me that for those of us, myself and the rest of my delegation, we have acquired a second home in Sri Lanka. This exposure to Sri Lanka, its challenges, its problems, its hopes, I think says to us that this must for us also be a second home. We talked a little bit about this with the president and said we'll do our best. We'll do our best to give such support to Sri Lanka and the people of Sri Lanka as they may need, to the extent that we're capable. Because what must be achieved in Sri Lanka today and tomorrow, we'd like to be part of that process. It's important that Sri Lanka should achieve the high and sustained economic growth rates that it needs. And in order to generate the resources that are needed to improve the lives of the people, including and especially the most vulnerable and marginalized sections of the society. Very, very well done indeed. And as I've said, we will be back on your centenary, whether you like it or not, because we have to say very, very well done for over this 100 years. So I must mention that, as you would know, we have tried to follow developments in the Sister Republic of Sri Lanka from a distance, and in particular throughout the 26 years of the Civil War. Those of us in the South African Liberation Movement fighting to defeat the apartheid crime against humanity have always hoped and prayed that the people of this country would find the possibility to end that conflict by negotiating a just settlement. It's always been in our minds, Chairperson, as we're struggling to defeat our own enemy there, that hopefully the sister people of Sri Lanka would solve this problem among themselves.
Five outstanding nominees were put forward for the prestigious Executive of the Year award. The nominees were Naomi Nalavansha, Samantha Alvis, Gayan Sampath, Nalin Jayawardena, Tamara Kudalianage. The prestigious Executive of the Year 2024 award was presented to Nalin Jayawardena, Chief Executive Officer of Eslon Lanka Private Limited, a proud member of the Capital Maharaja Group.
This is the biggest dream that we look at it. I can remember in 2007 when I joined as an engineer, I sat back. When look at all around this hall, more than 1,000 executives, I thought how someone can come to the front. Thank you, sir, once again. Former chairman, late R. Rajamahendran, I want to remind, I think he laid out the biggest platform for the executives to perform and recognized in Sri Lanka as I think this is one of the best awards that person can win.
Were Iran's nuclear facilities really damaged? Former chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines, Nishantha Wickramasinghe, was taken into custody this afternoon in Nabala. The arrest was carried out by officials of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Now, following his appearance before court later in the afternoon, an order was issued to remand him until the 1st of July.
The Bribery Commission says that Nishantha Wickramasinghe was taken into custody in connection with investigations into 3 allegations of corruption. The charges are as follows. On the 22nd of January 2014, altering the destination of UL 319, a flight scheduled to operate from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Katunayake, resulting in a loss of $4,512 to the government. On the 26th of January 2014, removing 75 passengers who had arrived from the Maldives and were scheduled to travel to France from Sri Lanka on flight UL 563, causing a financial loss of $19,160 to the government. On the 19th of December 2014, incurring a cost of 1.25 million rupees in public funds for election campaigning activities of a former president at the 18th Mile Post grounds in Katunayake. These are the allegations under investigation.
Meanwhile, Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali Jayatunga today granted bail to former Ceylon Fisheries Harbours Corporation Chairman Ubali Lianage, who was arrested by the Bribery Commission on corruption charges. When the case was taken up, Assistant Director Legal Sulochana Hettiarachi, appearing on behalf of the Bribery Commission, presented an investigation report to court and stated that the inquiry was launched based on an anonymous complaint received on the 25th of October 2013. Former Minister of Fisheries Rajitha Senaratne had proposed a project to entrust a Korean company with the task of clearing sand from the Kirinda Fisheries Harbour and releasing it to the market for sale. According to an official from the Bribery Commission, the company had agreed to pay 300 rupees per cube of sand removed and released to the market, and had also undertaken to provide all other necessary facilities at its own expense. According to the official, during the implementation of the project, the Fisheries Harbours Corporation was required to provide the Korean company with the Veligoa dredger and other facilities, which ultimately led to a loss of 26.2 million rupees for the corporation. She pointed out that before launching a foreign-funded project, it is essential to obtain approvals from both the Fisheries Harbours Corporation and the Cabinet. However, these required legal approvals were not obtained before the project commenced. She said that the project was carried out without following proper legal procedures and that no feasibility study reports had been obtained from agencies like the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau or the Central Environmental Authority. The officers requested the court to issue appropriate orders against the suspect, who was the chairman of the Fisheries Harbours Corporation at the time, having taken part in corruption under the Bribery Act through this process. Appearing on behalf of the suspect, President's Counsel Sampath Mendes said that since this is a complaint over 13 years old, the suspect has not exerted any influence on witnesses within the relevant time period. The President's Council said that if the Korean company had defaulted on payments, legal action should have been taken to recover the amounts. However, the Ceylon Fisheries Harbours Corporation had not taken any such steps. The President's Council requested the court to grant bail to his client, who is over 77 years old and in poor health condition. After considering arguments from both sides, the magistrate inquired from the Bribery Commission officials to find out if they plan to take any other suspects into custody in connection with the case. Assistant Director Legal Sulochana Hetiarachi, appearing on behalf of the Bribery Commission, said that Rajitha Senaratne, who was the minister responsible at the time for the incident, has been named as a suspect and is scheduled to be taken into custody. After considering the submissions, the magistrate ordered the suspect to be released on bail. The case is scheduled to be called up again on the 26th of September.
Colombo High Court Judge Pradeep Aberatna ordered that the pre-trial conference in the case against parliamentarian Namal Rajapaka related to the controversial Krish transaction be held on the 26th of September. The case filed by the Attorney General accuses Rajapaka of misappropriating 70 million rupees received from India's Krish group. The funds, which were allegedly intended to promote rugby in Sri Lanka, are said to have been used improperly, prompting legal action. Deputy Solicitor General Vasantha Pereira, appearing for the prosecution, informed the court that certain documents requested by the defence would be submitted at a later date. Representing the Defence President's Counsel Sampath Mendy said that the defence would declare its position once all relevant documents had been received. After reviewing the submissions, Judge Aberatna scheduled the pre-trial conference for the 26th of September. The case comes from investigations conducted by the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division, which previously presented findings before the Colombo Magistrates Court. Rajapaksa was arrested in connection with the case and later released on bail.
If something wrong has been done and if those matters are being investigated, none of us would think twice about it. We will not criticize it either. Even today, we believe that the judiciary of the country is independent. Everyone has the right to prove his innocence in a court of law.
A scheduled session of the Valama Pradeshiya Sabha was postponed due to tense circumstances. The disruption arose after members of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna-led National People's Power expressed strong opposition, alleging that two of their elected representatives had been abducted.
The inaugural session of the Valama Pradeshiya Sabha, which failed to secure a clear majority in the recent local government election, was held this morning under the patronage of Southern Provincial Commissioner of Local Government, Umanga Mendes. The main agenda item was the election of a new chairman, for which the Samagi Jana Balawega had proposed Lasantha Vikramasekara. The proposal was formally presented by Pushpa Kumara Battage, representing the Sarvajana Balaya party. However, tensions arose when members of the National People's Power claimed that two of their elected representatives had gone missing. According to the NPP, the missing members had left their residences intending to attend the session but had not arrived at the venue. Despite this, Commissioner Mendes announced that the quorum was present and that the vote would proceed. NPP members strongly objected, leading to heated scenes inside the chamber. A group of NPP supporters also entered the meeting hall in protest, intensifying the situation.
The underworld tried to take control of this council by force. This morning, our members who were elected by the people's mandate to parliament were abducted by your group. We have filed a complaint at the Valama Police Headquarters. Also, after leaving the session today, our party members and supporters were attacked in front of the police by some opposition members. Around 250 people entered and took all our MPs hostage, threatening them. The commissioner repeatedly pleaded for permission to carry on with the proceedings. When the local government commissioner was about to start the meeting, a group of their supporters barged in and caused a disruption that even the police were unable to control. Their actions forced the meeting to be stopped.
Subsequently, the Southern Provincial Commissioner of Local Government postponed the session indefinitely without setting a new date. When inquired, police said that the two individuals who were reported missing had arrived at the Kananke police station this afternoon. They had filed a complaint claiming that they were abducted by an unidentified group. Meanwhile, Francis Helen from the National People's Power has been appointed as the new chairman of the Agalawata Pradesh Sabha in the Nuwara Eliya district. He received support from members of the Samagi Janabalawegya during the chairman election. The council meeting was held under the patronage of Central Province Local Government Commissioner Shamila Atapattu. In the open vote conducted at the meeting, Francis Helen secured 12 votes. Ravi Kolanduge of the Ceylon Workers' Congress received only 7 votes. The 5 members representing the Samagi Janabalawegya, along with the first member of an independent group, extended their support to the National People's Power candidate for the chairmanship. Natraj Sivakumar from the Samagi Janabalawegya was appointed as the vice chairman. The inaugural session of the Agalawata Pradesh Sabha was held today, chaired by Western Province Local Government Commissioner Sarangika Kalhari Jayasundara. Nominations were submitted for the post of chairman, with Lalit Kumara of the National People's Power and Vindika Karunasena of the Samagi Janabalawegya being proposed. Following a secret ballot, Lalit Kumara of the National People's Power was elected as chairman. The position of vice chairman was awarded to Indika Chaturanga, representing an independent group.
Newsfirst with the people.
The National Transport Commission has announced that the law mandating seat belt use for drivers of public transport buses will be strictly enforced moving forward. Commission Chairman P.H. Anurapala made this statement during a media briefing held earlier today.
Seat belt palanda nositema hetuwen riyadura visin.
The primary concern is the serious harm caused to passengers, especially drivers, due to the difficulty in controlling a vehicle when not wearing a seatbelt. Therefore, this issue requires urgent attention. Provisions related to this are already included in the Motor Traffic Act and a Gazette notification issued in 2011, making it mandatory for drivers to wear seatbelts. Although a seatbelt may seem like a minor feature, the consequences of not wearing one often lead to severe injuries, creating a significant burden on the country's healthcare system. Raising awareness among the general public in the country is also essential. When passengers understand the importance of this rule and cooperate with the driver, the overall safety of everyone on board significantly improves, especially in unavoidable situations. In such cases, the efforts of a driver wearing a seat belt are far more effective than those of a driver who is not. This is not just a regulation on paper. It is a law that has been practically enforced since 2011 through a Gazette notification. What we are doing now is re-emphasizing and reintroducing this law. Therefore, we are officially announcing that a specific implementation date must be declared starting from this moment. As the regulatory body for transport, our aim is to highlight the critical importance of this law. We particularly urge all drivers to pay serious attention to this regulation. We plan to begin special enforcement of this rule from July, using it as a benchmark. However, the purpose of all of these efforts is not to impose punishments or disrupt the quality of the industry. Our main objective is to ensure that buses are operated safely on the roads by instilling the importance of this rule in the mindset of the drivers and taking an active role in promoting compliance.
The Sri Lanka Salt Manufacturers Association has decided to reduce salt prices in the consumer market.
Issuing a statement, the Sri Lanka Salt Manufacturers Association announced that the new maximum retail prices have been set based on agreements reached with the Consumer Affairs Authority. Accordingly, the revised prices are as follows: 180 rupees per kilogram of crystal salt, 240 rupees per kilogram of powdered salt, 120 rupees for 400 grams of powdered salt. The association further stated that it may take a few days to distribute salt products under the new reduced prices. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Customs says that 5 imported salt containers have been recommended for re-export. This is due to the fact that salt stock in question failed to meet Sri Lanka standard certification requirements. Customs media spokesperson Sivali Arugoda noted that every container of salt brought into the country is subjected to quality inspection. He further revealed that the salt in these containers was found to be below standard. According to Customs, approximately 2,000 containers of salt have been imported into the country under the given import permit. The permitted salt import period officially ended on the 10th of June.
The All Island Dairy Association expressed its views regarding the irregularities that took place during the previous importation of dairy cows into the country.
This is not just the most corrupt deal in Sri Lanka. It is the most corrupt deal in all of South Asia. There has never been a government or a company that has engaged in such a corrupt transaction, making money off something as vile as cattle. People like this exist only in Sri Lanka. These people believe they can do anything and get away with it. That's why Basil, Tondaman, C.B. Ratnayaka, P. Harrison and Vijay Munisoiza all supported this deal only because of the personal benefits they could gain. We proved that. We clearly said it then, and we are saying again today that this was a project designed either to destroy the dairy industry in this country or to ruin the local dairy farmer. A project that brought sickness and disease along with it.
Mazagon Dock Shipbuilder Limited has signed a tripartite agreement to acquire Onomichi Dockyard's controlling stake in Colombo Dockyard PLC.
As a significant move towards regional industrial collaboration, Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited, Colombo Dockyard PLC and Onomichi Dockyard Co. Limited signed a tripartite agreement today, through which Mazagon Dock Shipbuilder Limited will acquire Onomichi Dockyard's controlling stake in Colombo Dockyard. MDL's acquisition will be a force multiplier for CDPLC as it will bring in an order pipeline, investment, expertise and stability for the company.
Artura Magazine launched its latest edition, Women and Modernism Edition 69, last evening at St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia. The edition shines a spotlight on Sri Lankan women artists from the modernist period, voices often missing from our art history.
The launch of Artura Magazine's Women and Modernism Edition 69 brought together artists, academics and art enthusiasts to celebrate a long overdue conversation in Sri Lankan art history. The 69th edition explores the lives and works of Nalini Jayasuriya and Swani Jayawardena, two pioneering women who exhibited with the 43 group between 1943 and 1967, during a time when women artists were largely marginalized.
It's a very special edition for us as we celebrate the women artists who were overshadowed in the 1900s. What they essentially did was bring in a narrative of the feminine voice, or may I add feminist. While the 43 group also depicted women, there were two types of women, the dignified and the erotic. And we had the female artists talking about a reality that was not spoken by the male, and that of celebration, subjugation, madness, and even hallucination utilized as a means to rebel against the social position.
With this edition, Artura sets out to not only honor their contributions, but also open a broader dialogue on the presence and absence of women in the nation's artistic legacy.
An estimated 500,000 students and 150,000 teachers across Sri Lanka are set to benefit from a new $50 million additional financing package approved by the World Bank through its General Education Modernization Project.
The World Bank has approved an additional $50 million in financing for Sri Lanka's General Education Modernization Project. The project aims to benefit approximately 500,000 students and 150,000 teachers across the country. The funding will support critical education reforms, enhance teaching quality, upgrade school infrastructure and improve student well-being, with a strong emphasis on underserved schools, including those in plantation communities and those catering to children with special needs. Schools in all 9 provinces, regardless of grade level, are expected to benefit. The financing will also modernize teacher education and professional development with a focus on digital learning. Additionally, it will strengthen school health and nutrition programs, improving access to clean water, sanitation, menstrual hygiene, reproductive health and mental health support. The project is being implemented by Sri Lanka's Ministry of Education in collaboration with provincial education authorities.
The World Bank Group and the International Atomic Energy Agency sealed an agreement to work together to support the safe, secure and responsible use of nuclear energy in developing countries.
The partnership agreement signed by World Bank Group President Ajay Banga and IAEA Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi formalizes multiple engagements between the two institutions over the last year and marks the World Bank Group's first concrete step to re-engage with nuclear power in decades.
The goal here is to help countries deliver the energy their people need while giving them the flexibility to choose the path that best fits their ambitions, their development ambitions, their national context, but importantly, also their nationally determined contributions. We believe access to electricity is a fundamental human right. It is the foundation of development. Jobs require electricity, as do health systems, education, clean water, public safety, and so much more. And that level of transformation is not just about generating enough energy to turn on a light and a fan for a few hours in a day. We're talking about enough to power a decent quality of life and support job creation and entrepreneurship. And that means dependable, long-term, baseload power.
One big problem we had, and this was the lack of finance. The fact that many clients in the global south, in developing countries, even in industrialized economies, need some financing support. And now they know they can come, they will know. They can come to the World Bank, they can talk to the World Bank, they can explain what they want to do in different areas.
The agreement also reflects a new, broad approach by the World Bank Group to electrification, one that prioritizes accessibility, affordability and reliability while managing emissions responsibly. With electricity demand in developing countries expected to more than double by 2035, this approach aims to help countries deliver the energy people need by enabling pathways that best fit their national context, including development objectives and nationally determined contributions.
Iran's foreign minister has admitted that excessive and serious damage was done to the country's nuclear sites in the recent US and Israeli bombings. Abbas Araghchi told the state broadcaster that an assessment of the damage is being carried out by the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran.
Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi made a rare and candid admission on Thursday night, telling a state broadcaster that the recent bombings by the US and Israel have caused what he described as excessive and serious damage to key nuclear facilities across the country. According to Araghchi, assessments are currently underway by the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran to determine the full extent of the destruction. However, his remarks appear to directly contradict those made just hours earlier by Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Khamenei, who has remained in hiding since the war with Israel erupted on the 13th of June, dismissed US President Donald Trump's claims that the strikes had totally obliterated 3 nuclear sites, instead saying that the attacks had failed failed to accomplish anything significant. The strikes, which targeted facilities in Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan, mark the most direct US involvement in the conflict to date. Iran has since pulled out of a scheduled 6th round of nuclear talks with the United States, Arakchi confirming that there are no current plans to resume negotiations. On Wednesday, Iran's parliament approved a bill to stop cooperation with the global nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency. If it is implemented, it would mean Iran is no longer committed to allowing nuclear inspectors into its sites. Israel has said its offensive against Iran was necessary to thwart what it claims are Iranian plans to develop nuclear weapons. Iran has always insisted its nuclear program is only intended for civilian purposes. The third day of the second test match between hosts Sri Lanka and Bangladesh took place today at the SSC ground in Colombo. Bangladesh, who batted first, were bowled out for 247 runs. Sri Lanka began their first innings today and reached 290 for 2 at one stage. Pathum Nisanka crossed the 150-run mark, becoming the third Sri Lankan opener to score 150 or more in 2 consecutive test matches. Dinesh Chandimal scored 93 runs, while Kusal Mendis added 84. Taijul Islam was the pick of the bowlers for Bangladesh, claiming 5 wickets. Sri Lanka were eventually bowled out for 458 runs in their first innings.
That's a good catch and Taijul gets 5.
In their second innings, Bangladesh lost their first 2 wickets for just 31 runs.
That pause didn't do him.
By the end of the day, Bangladesh was struggling at 115 for 6 in their second innings. Sri Lanka currently lead by 96 runs.
Time, I think that has to be out.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.